Just wondered if you could talk about how much of the film is based on your own experiences and what the initial kind of impetus was for making This Is England.
I mean, initially, I don't think I'd ever really contemplated or considered making a film about this period. Why, I don't know, because it's obviously so visceral. When I started to look at the 80s, and not only about me being a skinhead, but the amount of different sort of youth packs, cults that were going on at the time. I look around now, any shopping centre, and it's boring. You can just about spot a skateboard kid, and you can spot a chav, but there isn't the same separation amongst kids anymore. It's all been a bit sanitised and sterilised, and you sort of look back at where you were, and right from the sort of real super geeks that were wearing dealy boppers, one pink sock, one green sock, through your new romantics, rockers, gothics, skinheads, punk's still around, mod second generation. There was just, and in a place like Uttoxeter, where there isn't enough people to be able to have, like when the skinheads were all mixed with the rockers and the rock, everyone was all together at the discos, and so you realised it was a really incredible time when people wore their hearts on the sleeves. And so for me to have this period in my own past, it's not until you become, I suppose, an adult that you start to become, if you like, you do look back at your life, and you look back and realise that there's things that maybe you didn't realise had had an impact on you. And that was the first thing I'd ever really wanted to become a part of. And I was very much like Sean in the film, wearing a jumper with reindeers on, and I was not a geek, but I was a bit of a nobody. And so going to school, you get shoved in the dinner queue, you've got shaggy hair and all of that, and then the transformation to sort of seeing these skinheads one day in the shopping centre, walking through the precinct and thinking, they look like almost like Marines or something to me. They were unbelievable. They're so smart yet so aggressive, and the crack that they had, and the fact that they had this kind of F the state attitude. It was like there's no jobs for these people, but somehow they're having the best possible crack. And I was drawn into that, and I also really was attracted to the girls with the haircuts. And I actually, even though I was 11, I did feel sort of my loins were awoken, I think, at that point. And it was that sort of attraction of like being somebody that people wouldn't mess with, being in a gang that visually I was really drawn to, and obviously wanted to try and get off with my own skinhead girl and have one, even though I ended up with someone much more like Smal. It was a time, this incredible time that I probably really never paid the attention to.
And did this movement also give you a sense of belonging? Because one of the important things about the film, I think it's probably your most political film, but it doesn't feel like sloganeering, because this movement gave people a sense of belonging who were kind of ostracised from, that they weren't given a voice. And the skinhead movement kind of gave them that, didn't it, with the music and the clothes, and it gave them an identity. Was that also important?
Yeah, I think there was especially in places like Uttoxeter and smaller places, maybe in London and some of the bigger cities around the country, being a skinhead maybe was much more of a fashion thing. I don't know, it wasn't my experience, but being a skinhead in a place like Uttoxeter was the only way almost that you could actually be something, and same with the fashion for a lot of people, but for me, I was being told at school that if I didn't get 8 O levels and I didn't get 3 A levels, that I was going to be sweeping streets, and the only place to work in Uttoxeter at the time was either at JCB in a factory or at the biscuit factory, and there was no jobs anyway, 3.5 million people unemployed, so you've got a lot of youth spilling out onto the street, and being a skinhead was one of these where you could sort of say, actually, we don't want to be part of that, we don't care there's no jobs, we're going to give you hell, we're going to cause trouble, we're going to be a pain in the arse. It's almost like the one way that you can actually fight back, and as a kid who's possibly looks like you've got nothing ahead of you, no job, no career, no future, to be able to feel that power was obviously a really strong draw.